The beef can be so real between former players and their teams after a departure, but who had it the worst? What is going on, guys? No matter how much success an NFL player may enjoy with a particular team, money, wins, and Super Bowl championships aren't always enough to close all the wounds. Here are 10 unforgettable instances where an NFL player harshly called out their former team. Ndamukong. After a 5-year stint with the Detroit Lions, Pro Bowl defensive tackle Ndamukong signed a mega 6-year, $114 million contract with the Miami Dolphins. It was the largest deal ever handed out to a defensive player, and it came with $60 million in guarantees. Suh's play in South Beach was up and down. He earned 1 Pro Bowl selection and helped Miami to a surprise playoff appearance in 2016. But 3 years into the contract, the franchise decided to move in another direction, and Suh was released. After exploring his options in free agency, Suh settled on a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams worth $14 million. Needless to say, Suh was pretty happy to get out of Miami. Christian McCaffrey scored on a 71-yard touchdown run for the Carolina Panthers in a 2018 preseason game against the Dolphins. It was posted on the official NFL Instagram account, and Suh couldn't help but mock his former team a bit with the comment right up the gut. It was a clear and obvious shot at the Dolphins. You think there was no hard feelings? No chance. Suh was clearly still salty about his time in South Beach, and he wanted the entire NFL community to know about it. And what better place to get your message across than on the official NFL Instagram page? It's worth noting that the Dolphins had the NFL's second worst rushing defense in 2018. Well, don't say that Suh kinda sorta didn't warn you. Danny Amendola. Amendola had a glorious 5-year tenure with the New England Patriots. He played in 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. But all the glory wasn't exactly enough for Amendola to appreciate his tenure in Foxborough. Amendola left the Patriots in 2018 to sign with the AFC East rival Miami Dolphins. 3 years later, he questioned Belichick's whole Patriot way. More specifically, Amendola suggested that Tom Brady was the true architect of the Patriot way. Amendola made these comments ahead of Super Bowl 55 between Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs during an appearance on FS1's First Things First. Speaking with Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports, Amendola explained that he felt worn out by Belichick because he kept taking pay cuts to put Super Bowl rings on the legendary coach's fingers. Amendola wasn't the first ex-Patriot to call out Belichick and his old team, and he certainly won't be the last. While we're on this topic, Brandon Spikes. Spikes played his first 4 seasons with the Patriots from 2010 to 2013 before entering free agency. The Buffalo Bills picked up the hard-hitting linebacker on a 1-year deal, and Spikes wasted no time getting a ton of stuff off his chest. After signing with Buffalo, Spikes sent out several angry tweets towards his old team. He sent out one tweet that read, "4 years a slave," to describe his unhappy tenure with the franchise. He also said that it would be icing on his cake to defeat the Patriots twice that year. Spikes also took pleasure in the angry responses from Patriots fans, even bragging about how many of them he was blocking. For what it's worth, the Bills and Patriots split the season series that year, though New England sat key starters in the Week 17 loss, and Spikes would return to the Patriots on a 1-year deal in 2015, only to get released soon after. Talk about a love-hate relationship with your former team. Greg Jennings. Jennings was a 2-time Pro Bowl wide receiver during his tenure with the Green Bay Packers. He and Aaron Rodgers formed one of the NFL's best QB wide receiver duos, and they were both instrumental in helping the Pack win Super Bowl 45 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But all good things come to an end. And in the NFL, plenty of glorious tenures tend to end on a sour note. Jennings and the Packers were no exception. After the 2012 season, Jennings signed with the rival Minnesota Vikings in free agency. Following his arrival in Minnie, Jennings didn't hesitate to call out his former teammates, namely Rodgers. He refused to mention Rodgers by name, calling him the guy they have now, N12. In an interview with the Star Tribune, Jennings stated that he would be a team player in Minnie, something he accused Rodgers of not being in Green Bay. Jennings was quoted as saying the following: "A lot of times when you have a guy who creates that spotlight for himself and establishes and takes on a lot of that, it becomes so-and-so in the team. It should always be the team." Of course, Jennings isn't the only player to ever call out Aaron Rodgers' selfish attitude. It seems to be a recurring theme down in Lambeau, and I'm sure there are many others who were nodding in approval as they heard Jennings' words. Todd Gurley and Clay Matthews. We'll tie this into one, because Gurley and Matthews had the same issue with the Rams. Gurley was one of the NFL's most explosive players from 2015 to 2018, but he took several steps back in 2019 thanks to some ongoing knee issues. The Rams decided to cut their losses, and Gurley was released 2 years after signing that massive $60 million deal. They saved minimal cap space with his release, but the Rams still owed their former running back a $7.5 million roster bonus. A few weeks after his release, Gurley took to Twitter and told the Rams they were late on the money they owed him. His exact quote was, "@RamsNFL, past due, send me money ASAP." It's hard to blame the dude for lashing out like this on social media. I mean, he just wanted to get paid. If it made Gurley feel any better, he wasn't the only ex-Ram who was waiting for his late payment. Matthews was also released by the team that offseason following an unproductive year, and he too claimed that the Rams owed him money. Matthews replied to Gurley's original tweet by saying, "You and me both, TG." And he took things a step further by telling the Rams there better be interest with that too. GM Les Snead later acknowledged that the Rams were late and that the two veterans would get the money they were owed. Matthews later filed a $2 million grievance against the Rams, while Gurley decided not to go down that road. Dez Bryant. Bryant was one of the NFL's top wideouts during his 8-year tenure with the Dallas Cowboys. But in a cap-saving move, the Cowboys decided to release Dez in the 2018 offseason. Bryant was never shy in voicing his frustrations during his tenure in Dallas, so he just knew he wasn't going to take the release kindly. During the 2019 season, the Cowboys endured a brutal second-half collapse and lost the NFC East division title to the Philadelphia Eagles. Bryant joined the long list of Jason Garrett critics and lashed out at his former coach. Bryant said that he knew early in his career that Garrett wasn't suited to be the coach. Bryant also mocked Garrett over his renowned clapping and questioned how this team could keep falling short of expectations despite all the talent on the roster. Not sure if Jared Jones heard Bryant's words, but he obviously concurred with his opinion. The Cowboys decided not to bring back Garrett for the 2020 season, replacing him with former Green Bay Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. Jamal Adams. The New York Jets have a very bad track record when it comes to drafting in the first round, but Jamal Adams was an exception. The Jets struck gold when they took the LSU safety 6th overall in 2017. Adams emerged as a star on a woeful Jets team, and he made it clear that he wanted to stay there long term. But the dysfunctional franchise didn't bother to show the feeling was mutual, and Adams' rapidly growing frustration led to a trade request. The Jets honored Adams' wish and traded him along with a 4th rounder in 2022 to the Seattle Seahawks in the 2020 offseason, receiving Bradley McDougald, 2021 and 2022 first-round picks, plus a 3rd rounder in return. Finally free of the Jets and now on a contending Seattle team, Adams wasn't afraid to talk some smack about his former club. Appearing on the All Things Covered podcast, Adams offered a blunt assessment on the Jets. They do not want to win. Let's be honest, the Jets were the laughingstock. Harsh as that may sound, the results speak for themselves. And most Jets fans probably agree with Adams' take. Like me, I kind of agree. They don't really seem like they want to win. But also as a Jets fan, after this happening so often, I'm not getting my hopes up. Sorry, Robert Saleh, you look like a good coach and the team might come back. And even if we get Sean Watson or even Russell Wilson or any of that stuff, it's just like, is it gonna happen? Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of, I hope it does. Not saying I don't, but yeah, sorry, I'm rambling. Next. Richard Sherman. The 2017 Seattle Seahawks missed the postseason for the first time in the Russell Wilson era, and it sparked GM John Snyder and head coach Pete Carroll to begin a massive overhaul. Pro Bowl safety Cam Chancellor retired. Michael Bennett was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. The franchise also parted ways with Jeremy Lane and Jimmy Graham, but their most notable departure was All-Pro corner Richard Sherman, who was released before signing with the arch-rival San Francisco 49ers. Ahead of the 2018 season, Sherman offered quite the take for the only NFL team he had ever played for up to that point during an interview with Sports Illustrated. They've lost their way. It's as simple as that. They've just lost their way. When you make too many mistakes over a long period of time, you kind of dig yourself a hole. And then when you backtrack, you got to make a bunch of rash decisions to try to fill the hole and hope that it holds up. The Seahawks defense took several steps back following the departure of Chancellor and Sherman. They rebounded by making the postseason in 3 straight years. However, Sherman helped his 49ers to a Super Bowl 54 appearance in the 2019 season. So we'll call this one a wash. Both Sherman and the Seahawks have benefited since their 2018 split. Antonio Brown. Brown was easily the NFL's best wide receiver from 2014 to 2018, but the on-field success wasn't enough to smooth out his relationship with several of his coaches and teammates in Pittsburgh, especially quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. The two men got into an argument during a practice ahead of their Week 17 2018 game. Brown angrily walked out and was absent from their final game of the year, and he later requested a trade. Brown's antics on social media gave the Steelers no choice. He took to Twitter and thanked the Pittsburgh fans with a comment that it was just time to move on. He also blasted Roethlisberger on social media several times, claiming the QB had an owner mentality, while emphasizing that his trade request was not because of money. Brown was eventually traded to the Oakland Raiders, though his behavior there forced the team to release him before AB ever played it down with the team. In a 2019 interview, Roethlisberger acknowledged his mistakes with how he treated Brown, saying he ruined a friendship. In a tweet that he quickly deleted, Brown told Roethlisberger to shut up already. And no, that wasn't the end. Brown couldn't help but mock Steelers wideout Juju Smith-Schuster after a disappointing 2019 season that saw him record just 552 yards. Our guess is that the Steelers will never retire Brown's number. And if they did, do you really think he'd want to attend the ceremony? Doesn't really sound like it. Johnny Manziel. The word petty can safely be used here. Manziel, the 2012 Heisman Trophy winner, was one of the most hyped-up quarterback prospects ever during his time in Texas A&M. But his character, off-the-field issues, and style of play made Manziel a risky pick. Some believe Manziel would go first overall in the 2014 draft, but he slipped down to the Cleveland Browns at number 22. And though this team has wasted more high-end selections than anybody else in the 21st century, it's hard to entirely blame the Browns for Manziel's disappointing NFL career. Manziel didn't exactly take the pros seriously. He was caught breaking curfew and seemed more intent on partying than crafting his NFL game. The Browns released Manziel after 2 seasons, and his NFL career was over after that point. But the drama did not end there. Right after the Browns were eliminated by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2020 AFC divisional round, Manziel tweeted what appeared to be a jab at his former team. Manziel denied any pettiness. Instead, he accused fans of jumping to conclusions and thanked owner Jimmy Haslam. But it was pretty obvious that Manziel was having a good laugh over Cleveland's playoff loss. Hey, at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield took that Cleveland team way further than Manziel ever did. Probably ever could. Well, if he tried hard enough maybe, but I mean, whatever. So we highly doubt the Browns players put too much thought into Manziel's petty tweet. What other unforgettable instances saw an NFL player call out his former team? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow, go do the whole thing. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click. And of course, subscribe to TPS. I post videos every single day, every day in the video. Go subscribe, go do that. We really appreciate it. It helps us out. And of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.